Welcome to Comedians After Hours with your hosts Willis and Vere.
Hello, I'm Adam Willis.
I'm George Vere.
And I'm Ian Coulter.
And welcome to Comedians After Hours. Today's guest, our second show at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, Underbelly George Square. Today's guest is Natalie Palamides.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, boys.
Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
An absolute pleasure. How are you doing today?
Oh, well, I'm actually doing pretty okay today. I had a pretty good show, some rough parts. Still got to work out the kinks a little bit with, I spill a lot of stuff on stage, and the risk assessment is a bit intense.
It sounds like a bit of laughter in the room from people that may have seen the show. Do you want to explain a bit about the show to the people in the room who may not have seen your show?
Oh, yeah. So my show that I'm doing this year is called Nate. And it's me in drag doing a character called Nate. And I don't really have a good pitch for the show, but it's kind of this character's journey for love, but a main theme of the show is consent. But it's really wacky and stupid, and
We saw it the other day. It's
Oh, you
one of
did?
the most mental things I've ever seen.
so it's mental. Did you see it? Oh, right on.
Actually, this
Thanks for coming
was
out.
a question I was going to ask, because I imagine you get that a lot, that the show's sort of crazy or off the wall.
Uh-huh.
How do you think, in a way, the storyline was quite linear? It had quite a clear storyline, I
yeah.
think, through it.
Yeah, it's pretty linear. It didn't always used to be that way. When I first started workshopping the show, Dr. Brown, who directs my show, we kind of have this process where we what was that?
I said name drop.
Oh, yeah, right. He's my buddy. But we workshop the show in a way where we put up pieces or ideas, and then over the process of weeks and months here and there, putting up the show in front of an audience, we take what we like, and then we say, how can we structure this? And then that's how the storyline came about. But it was at first just in pieces. And then also, just before I brought the show to Edinburgh in LA, it was 15 minutes too long. I had to cut 15 minutes. So it wasn't so linear before it came here. And then I had to cut a couple scenes that made it, more linear.
Would you describe it as a clowning show? What's your relationship
I would
with
say
that?
there's clown elements of it, but Dr. Brown, who directs my show and devises it with me, he always tells me how bad I am at clown. But
That sounds like a clown
he
teacher.
is, yeah. That's what makes you better, right? You don't want your director to be your cheerleader. Otherwise, you just have a shitty show. But he is really supportive and fun to work with. We work really well together. But whenever I'm taking his class, like the Dr. Brown workshop, is when I eat it like all the time, and I'm just like always in the shit and like so terrible.
I don't know if "eat it" is an English. I don't know if we're aware of that as an English in England as a phrase. Can you translate that, please?
Eat it is like completely fail. Yeah. So just always, hey, did you just get here? Have you been? Oh, but I didn't even see you walk in. Wow, cool, nice.
Someone
mustache.
walked in directly next to Natalie. And she
Yeah.
didn't notice.
Yeah, sorry for the little tangent there.
Sorry.
But
Cut it
so
out.
during our last class show, so we have a clown show at the end of every class. Dr. Brown told me I wasn't allowed to talk or use any props, which are two of my crutches. But I'm allowed to do that in the show because
Is your name on the...
I gotta do what I gotta do. You know what I mean? You gotta do what you're good at. But whenever you're trying to get better, you gotta take away the things that are easy for you.
How did it compare making this show to making your last show?
Well, Laid, I had the structure from the beginning. So I knew what I wanted the story to be, and I knew that I wanted it to be this woman laying an egg every day, and she had to decide if she was going to raise it or eat it. It kind of just like all came to me, like in an instant. I was just like, oh yeah, that's it. But this show, I was like, oh, I don't know. I want to play this character, and like, I only wanted to play this character because I had like a 10-minute bit with him that I did in the fall this past September that went
autumn.
well. Oh, this past autumn that went really well. It was like a 10-minute bit where I wrestled someone, from the audience, and that comes from another like Dr. Brown show in LA called The Incubator, where at the beginning of the week he tells us to come up with a new idea for a bit, something that we feel is risky. So I was like, I want to wrestle someone. I never done that. So I was like, what character would be good to do that with? And I had Nate in my back pocket from like 6 years ago. I started doing that character.
Can you tell the audience a little bit about Nate, like his personality is?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of classic douchebag. Like kind of jerk.
That's sort of like a waste man.
Yeah. Oh, waste man. Yeah.
He's a waste man. I think it was waste man-esque.
I was translating douche.
No, it's quite
sorry.
specific.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think.
I would say he's a lovable idiot, and I think at first whenever you see the image of him first, I come in on the motorcycle, I'm like blowing fire and whatever, and like cracking eggs.
That is as good as it
eating
sounds.
eggs.
It is brilliant.
But so I think at first he comes off as kind of misogynistic or like manly, but soon you find out that he's just a lovable idiot who's like really masculine. I don't know. He's like a satire of masculinity, or my idea of masculinity. Yeah.
How early in that show did you, or when you came up with the linear structure of Nate, did you decide you wanted to do it about consent? Is that something that came afterwards, or is that something you thought about before?
It came way later because I was really scared to touch that subject. Consent's kind of a touchy subject, especially in Los Angeles. It's really like
it's also
sensitive.
It's also
over
one that
there.
I've seen done in theatre really badly before, loads of times.
Including the time you saw me do my show.
No.
No.
Right on. Yeah, so I was kind of scared to like touch it, but then I was like, it's kind of asking for it, I kept dancing around it, and at first I was just focusing on like masculinity and how I don't know how it is over here, but in the States, men are taught that you can't cry and stuff like that. And be a man.
We're quite butch, yeah.
Oh, you're quite butch. Yeah. So I was focusing on
Why
that
did the audience
idea.
laugh at that?
I don't know. Sometimes the most
Nice pink
truthful
T-shirt.
things.
Yeah.
You complimented that before the
Yeah,
show. Now
no.
you use it against.
No,
Now
that
you've
was
turned for
sincere.
comedy.
That was sincere. I was just trying to let the audience listening know that you're wearing a very not butch
Adam
T-shirt.
Willis has a pink T-shirt on.
So the audience can see with their ears.
That's right. Exactly.
Brilliant.
You get it.
Who's that?
The audience have piped up or something.
You don't what?
No, I didn't get it.
But
Oh,
you
you
can
didn't
see
get it?
with your eyes.
Yeah, he's doing a bit. Ignore him.
I think maybe it's time for one of Ian's questions.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Okay.
raucous now.
The man's throwing me off.
Wow.
I know he always gets pissed off when you talk over his questions. You
Yeah,
always do it.
yeah.
Whenever he plays the music, you talk over it.
I also talked. I said, "Wow." Sorry.
Well, you didn't know.
Yeah, she was
Oh, yeah,
complimenting
You didn't know,
it.
whereas
Now I
Adam
know.
knows and knows better.
It's because
Ian,
I'm.
do it again.
Alright. Okay. So you've kind of already touched upon this, but I'll just ask it because I've only got 3 questions written down. Is your character Nate the archetypal man?
How do you mean archetypal? Because I feel like there are like
Ian doesn't know.
several. I mean, I feel like there are many archetypes within men. There's like the old wise man, the young buck, the stud.
You're nodding.
Yeah, well, I guess, were you trying to portray him as being a sort of typical man in some way? And I guess you've already answered that.
Oh, I guess like from first sight of Nate, I would say he is the archetype of somebody who is deeply affected by toxic masculinity, but just at first sight.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, first impression is maybe that, but then once you get to know him, you see he's so sweet.
Yeah.
Ian, are you content with that answer?
Very.
Do you want to play your question now?
One thing I wanted to ask you about on the sort of more extreme and risky side of your comedy, when it comes to audience interaction, how do you get that far? What's the worst thing that's happened in dealing with audience members?
In Late or Nate?
I mean,
or just in general?
I mean, both. We've got time.
Well,
Just in general.
in Late, it was never really like so risky, except that like an egg would die. But I kind of had that planned into the show that the eggs would die.
Yeah.
One time, I do an egg toss during the show, and I brought someone up to do the egg toss with me, and they threw it at my face. That was actually worked really well, so I was pretty happy with that.
Brilliant.
So that was fun. But that's probably like the weirdest thing somebody did in that show. Although, like, I also bring somebody, I turn into a big egg at the end of the show, and she has sex for the first time. This all sounds so weird, like explaining it verbally.
It does, yeah.
Instead of, seeing it. But so I bring someone up to have sex with the egg, and when I was in Melbourne doing the show, this guy went to town on my ass. Like and I don't know if you guys are familiar with that term. Going to town on someone's ass is like really going for it.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like down on the ground. His face was like inside my big stuffed egg, and like I was bent over backwards, and I was like, damn, this guy like really wanted to fuck this egg.
You've fulfilled a dream of an audience member.
Yeah, I guess so. Everyone's got, their secret desires. But so in Nate, probably like the most risky thing that has happened when I wrestle the audience. So now I have this little general liability release waiver that I have them sign, which,
Natalie did air quotations with her fingers when she
Yes,
did that.
in air
Yeah.
quote. Yes, but it offers no legal support from me, if they sign this liability waiver. It's just to tell them inside, like, that I'm just a little lady and, like, please go easy on me. But it just says, hey, you're about to wrestle Nate. For real.
Don't forget, it is a woman.
Yeah, let him know if you have any present injuries or past injuries, and then, like, also just a reminder.
So he can exploit it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know what I would do. Nobody has refused to wrestle me yet. But so back to your question about danger. It was about danger or audience interaction.
I guess about risk. I mean, one of the things that struck me immediately is you pretty much start the show by groping audience members.
Oh, yeah, only if they let me.
Only if they let you.
Yeah, so that's very consensual. But so, I mean, the dangerous thing happened in LA when I was wrestling someone. He like really went for it and like did WWE moves and like slammed me down like really hard.
Wow.
And everyone thought I like broke my neck. But luckily I have a younger brother who was a wrestler, and he practiced moves on me all the time. So I was prepared for that. And I tucked my neck, and I didn't break it.
Great.
Yeah. But
lovely end to the
everyone here
story.
has been like a bunch of weenies, they don't really wrestle me that hard.
Oh,
But,
the English aren't going to like that.
There's still more shows before this comes out.
Yeah, the Scottish will start coming soon.
Brilliant.
And you're going to get...
I know. Well, yeah, I need a big Scottish bricklayer to come throw me down. I wouldn't mind that.
Sounds great. Right, I've got a question.
Yes, please.
I was reading... I'll be honest, I wasn't reading The Guardian. I was looking for articles about you. I wasn't reading The Guardian.
The freaking Guardian. Ugh.
Well,
Anyways,
I saw the headline, "Can you do comedy about rape?" Natalie Palamides thinks so.
Can you believe that clickbait
We were
headline?
shocked and appalled, Natalie.
Isn't that bullshit headline?
Bastards.
I mentioned, and the
Explain
article is
yourself.
great. Brian wrote a great article, but the headline is so clickbaity and just implies that the show is a big rape joke, which is not the case. It's meant to start a discussion about this situation that I present to the audience, but is not at the expense of rape, or doesn't make light of it, I don't think. Or at least
I
that's
didn't
not
think
what
so.
I want to do.
No. It felt like there was
Yeah.
a different tone in the sort of near the end section where people were a bit more not sure sort of where to go on this question that you pose to the audience.
That's the point.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
that something? From what I understand about Laid, that there was similar. There was a similar sort of feel, but to do with maternity. Is that something that you try to do in your work?
You know, it just comes out.
Yeah.
It just comes up. I mean, I started like creating this show with this idiot guy, and this just kind of came up. You know, I'm like, oh, it feels like I need to go there, especially with everything going on. And I see people all the time on Facebook discussing these kind of issues, but never with each other face to face. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do in the moment that you're referencing in the show, is just kind of get people to talk about it, or at least acknowledge that it is scary to talk face to face about it, and that we should do that, and it shouldn't be so taboo, because whenever people talk about it is when it becomes clearer for everyone and less people get hurt.
Sorry, I'm only slightly laughing because as you were saying that, I was thinking of the bit in the show, and I know there's children in the room, so excuse this, where you were sucking your own dick.
Yes.
And I just had a
Yeah.
flashback to that, and it made me laugh. Sorry.
Yes, yeah.
As we were sitting here
It's
talking
not
about it
a kid's
seriously.
show.
Having a really sincere conversation
Oh, I
about
know,
narrative
sorry.
and structure. You were thinking about Natalie sucking her dick.
Yeah, I was just thinking about, we were having a serious conversation, it made me laugh because I was thinking about that bit.
Yes.
Sorry.
What about it?
It's funny.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Spoiler alert. I do love that part.
Yeah, it's
Today
funny.
when I was doing it, the dick popped out of where I have it connected to my crotch, so it's like looked like I ripped the dick off with my mouth. But
That was about the
you know.
time when we were there that the 7 elderly women just went, no.
oh yeah,
just
they
went
walked
straight
out.
on.
Yeah, as soon as
Yeah.
I started doing that, they bounced.
I don't know what was the problem was with it.
I don't
Well,
know.
I don't know what
Prudes.
they might have expected. The beginning of the show, I whip out a huge like dick drawing
not
on
that
a
big.
piece of wood, you know. So it's like, if anything, like you should walk out then.
There's no way, if you haven't seen this show, that all of this sounds like one thing. Like, it sounds like we're making it up on the spot. Everything else.
Maybe we are.
The other thing that made me laugh when I was watching it is on the night that we saw it, you threw the log.
Oh,
And-
I got in big trouble for that.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know if anybody
I-
else saw me throw the log.
We saw, yeah.
I turned around and saw Dr. Brown go, and shake his head.
Oh, yeah. He always gets on me about being reckless, and that is something that I have had to pay attention to and be more diligent about, is like safety. And
It is,
but I knew I wasn't throwing it at anybody. You know, there's like a big.
and is it because he
Door.
genuinely cares, or because he thinks it's not funny?
No, he thinks it's fun, but he is like, you can't do that. You know, you get in trouble. The risk assessment's already insane. He just doesn't want me to hurt anyone or myself as well, you know.
Yeah.
So he's always shaking his head at me about that, and I get my ass ripped after the show. He reams me after the show whenever I do something stupid like that,
Does it feel like
which
a
happens
teacher?
a lot. Yeah, he's definitely like a mentor to me, but he's also like one of my best friends. So
What's it like creating something like a show like this with? Is it just you and him that create the show together?
yes.
So what's that like? Because whenever we've done stuff, it's been collaborative, but in the sense of it's a group of maybe 5 or 6 or 7 or something people. Or if it's not, it's me and Adam writing something and then we do it. And so what's it like devising with someone else?
Yeah, I mean, it's so much more helpful to devise with someone else than on your own, because you have an outside eye and so many things that I don't see, he sees, and sometimes he'll get an idea or an idea that he has. I'll be like, oh, wait, what about this instead? And he's like, yeah, or like, I'll have an idea, and he's like, what about this instead? And like, we just build off each other like that.
Is it all from audience show? From audience?
Yeah, I do it all in front of the audience. So there's never a rehearsal without an audience there. So in Los Angeles, at the beginning of my workshopping phase, I guess you'd call it, I just offer it for free. And then as the show gets a little bit better, I'm like, okay, I can charge $5 now. And then as it gets a little bit better, I'm like, okay, $10, you know? And I just make it a little
maybe
bit,
£8.
as it gets better. Yeah, £8. But so as the show gets better, the price goes up.
So how many?
As it should.
Yes. How many previews would you tend to want to do? Would you class what you're doing now at the Fringe as the finished article?
No.
No.
So much has changed, even since you guys saw it. Did you guys see it yesterday or today? You saw the first one.
Mhm.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah, so... today's my third one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But so much has changed even since my first one.
You don't throw the log anymore, do you?
Come on. I want to throw the log, but the Pleasants came up to me afterwards and were like, you cannot throw the log, you cannot throw the sock. And I get it. It's like,
the sock.
Yeah.
The sock might have been my favorite bit.
I know. Now I have to fake through the sock, and it's like, well, yeah. They're like, you hit that lady pretty hard with the sock.
It was,
I'm
it was the action of your arm as well. It happened in a second. It was just like, huh!
Yeah. Now I go like this. It still is like just as successful pretty much when I go, and they think I'm going to throw. And then I lightly toss it and go, something to remember me by.
So do you feel like with a show like this you ever reach a final point? Because I assume you keep playing and keep developing the whole time.
It will get to a final point. It is not there right now. I'm like, me and Doc Brown are desperate to get it there. He's only here for the first 2 weeks, so...
Oh, okay, see, sure.
So I gotta get it there before he leaves. Otherwise, he'll be deeply disappointed in me, and I can't live with that.
Yes.
Uncle
No, that
Phil.
sounds scary.
Yeah, having Dr. Brown mad at you. Have you seen that guy? He's got
yeah.
big eyebrows,
Yeah.
so when he's mad at you, you know it.
Fucking hell.
Scary. So it's assuming when's it done? Like when this is the thing I'm interested by. Like when a show like yours is done, will it ever get to a point where it is you go out, you do exactly the same thing every night, you leave?
It's never exactly the same. Yeah, it's just never exactly the same. But, I mean, I can try to make it exactly... There is a point where I try to do everything exactly the same every night and see how it goes, But there are bits, like right now, there's some, like, location-specific jokes that I had, like, specific jokes for Los Angeles. And then when I did it in London, I had London jokes. And right now I'm trying to work out, like, what the Edinburgh specific jokes are. So... We're working that out.
Do you need help with that?
Yeah. You have any pitches?
Well, what are you trying to do?
So like, whenever I'm in LA and I'm in the park with Miss Jackson, I say like, oh, look, there's Burbank, which is like a really shitty part of town.
Oh, okay.
And everybody thinks it's funny that like, oh, they're thinking it's beautiful. And then when I was in London, I was like, oh, there's Croydon, And so that worked really well. But here, I'm like...
It's all so nice.
It's kind of all really beautiful, yeah.
There's like Leith. Leith's...
Is Leith shitty?
Is Leith good or is Leith shit?
It's amazing.
Oh, fuck. Not Leith then. What's the beach called?
Portobello or something.
Portobello. Is Portobello
Yeah,
shit?
that's horrible.
Quite specific. I mean, I don't know what that is. And I've been here
Okay,
a few
no,
years.
that's too much.
Whole of
Well, so
Scotland.
now just today I added this. So tell me what you guys think of this. I'm like, oh, whoa, look. You can see the
That's the voice.
you can see the Royal Mile from here. And she goes, oh, wow, how long do you think it is? And then he goes, well, it's actually 1.81 kilometers, which is technically a Scots mile, but they haven't used that form of measurement since the 18th century.
I think that's good. I like the fact that an American person would know that.
I just Googled it.
No, I mean the character.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
like
yeah.
that the character would know that. That's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think it's funny. I don't care they didn't
Okay.
laugh. I think it's funny.
Nice, yeah. They need the contact. They need
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
mustache.
It's all about
It's
yeah.
okay, guys.
And eyebrows.
Oh, yeah.
They are eyebrows.
They're
It took me a
eyebrows.
while to work out if they were your eyebrows or not.
It's mascara and my real eyebrows.
Okay, roger that. Thank you.
Yeah. Mhm.
Behind the screen with
Oh, blimey.
insider tips. Ian,
Mm.
you've been sitting there quiet for a while.
Saying nothing.
Well, go on then.
Okay.
Don't forget to speak into the microphone, Ian.
Yeah.
Hold on, some comedy's happening. Has the microphone stopped working? Okay, all right, hold
Here.
on. Oh yeah, there we go.
Thanks.
Brilliant.
So this is quite a deep question.
for some
so-
reason.
If all the world's a stage, then are we ever truly ourselves?
It's got to the 24-minute part of the show where we need to pick it up with one of Ian's questions.
What the fuck? I mean, I don't think he ever said that second part. That's kind of all you, isn't it? You know,
Natalie's stalling for time.
Are ourselves anything anyway? Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I would say that if all the world's a stage, and if we're never truly ourselves, maybe ourselves are all a figment of Shakespeare's imagination anyhow. And Shakespeare is God.
That's the answer I wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, great. Well, do you want to play it out then?
Yeah.
Yep. Brilliant. I can't believe you got away with that, but there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Right, so listen to this, right? We've been up here at the Fringe working on a serious play about World War II. We've been doing that show and also this Comedians After Hours podcast live. Yes. So the show's been going well, a serious play about World War II, comedy fast, 4:20 p.m. every day on Underbelly. That's been going really well. We've had some brilliant reviews, 5-star review from the Wee Review, 4-star review from the fucking Chortle, Steve Bennett, loads of other 4.5-star reviews, loads, and no other ones.
And none, no reviews we're not mentioning.
What did you just say? You said it! Ian is referencing a 3-star review we got from edfringereview.com.
But fuck them. Because it's just the one. So fuck them.
By the way, don't fucking go and write online after the show about how it wasn't what you thought it was going to be, rasps George Vere, as he claws apart a piece of stage lighting. The words unfortunately rang true, as despite a hugely promising opening, it soon became apparent that comedy duo Willis and Vere's sophomore fringe piece, A Serious Play of World War II, was not quite the sharply satirical piece I thought it was going to be.
Miles, fucking do one, alright?
Miles Jackson.
Do one.
I've gone up to the Fringe showing the space.
We're not bitter. We're not bitter.
We're
not bitter, but when you're putting on shows of this caliber, right, then go and criticise other people's shows, because this is a business, all right?
As it stands, the show produces laughs but does little more.
So we're having a really good Fringe.
What are you going to produce, Miles Jackson?
Right.
Big fart.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay, he probably is going to produce a big fart.
So if you'd like to see a serious play about World War II, we're on from now until the end of the Fringe, 4:20 p.m. in the Underbelly, and Comedians After Hours is on at 10:40 p.m. This podcast live is on at 10:40 p.m. At George Square. And we have, we don't know who we got on Thursday. We got George Egg on Friday. It's my birthday. He's going to cook some pancakes. Don't know who we got on Saturday. And on the Sunday, we have Deliso Chaponda, but only with me because the other two are fucking off home.
So come along, yeah?
Do you want to expand it? Why are you fucking off home?
Because the train tickets were booked early.
Why?
It's something to do with another cast member.
Who?
We'll say that his name is Jake.
So you mean Martin?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so we have to leave, and me and Ian are going to be there, but...
So I'm interviewing Deliso Chapondo with a yet unknown guest.
Ooh.
So...
Anyway, we should probably get back into it.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, when you started improvising and clowning, did you think that it would go on to these solo shows, or was it with that goal in mind?
No, I didn't even know I was going to come to Edinburgh. I just started making Laid, and then people, my friends from Los Angeles who had been to Edinburgh were like, what are you going to do with this show? And I was like, well, I don't know, I'm just making a solo show. And they're like, you should go to Edinburgh. And then Phil, Dr. Brown, who has obviously been to Edinburgh many times, I was like, should I take this to Edinburgh? And he's like, do you want to? And I was like, yeah. And then he's like, are you sure this is the show you want to take? He's like, you're going to have to do it like 30 times. And since then, I've done it like 150 times. So way more than 30 times. But, yeah. And then so I was like, yeah. And but I never had the idea in my head like, oh, I'll come to Edinburgh. I come from a background in devised theater, and I really liked making 10-minute character pieces. So that's what I would put up at stand-up shows around Los Angeles. And I was like craving to make something longer and more narrative and one big piece. You know, I wanted to make a theater piece or play, whatever. I don't know if you can call it a play, but
I wouldn't say so.
what would you call it? Is it just a show?
I don't know. From my limited experience of the genre, I would say it was like a clowning show. Jesus.
What's it
You don't think so?
Well, I would say there's clown elements for sure, but I feel like I'm like so in character that there's an element of clown that doesn't allow you to be like so in character.
Oh, I see. That's a good point.
But I mean, I love doing clown, but in clown class with Dr. Brown, I'm not allowed to do any characters because one of my crutches. But so like voices, stuff like that, completely eats shit when I do it in class. Like I never get any laughs doing a character in clown class.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I'm just wrong.
Yeah, but I would say there's definitely elements of it. I mean, I think they put it under that category
I was gonna say,
on
what's
the
it
Pleasance
down?
website. Yeah, I think it's under clown. I mean, I would love for it to be called clown, but you know, I think like clowning is some place that I haven't really like achieved yet. You know, it's like kind of like the holy grail or something. It's like if you can let people truly see who you are, like truly see your idiot inside, then you have succeeded.
Ian's nodding.
Agree.
Yeah, it's not working, is it?
No, it's working. No, it's not anymore. I agree.
All right, let's stop talking to Ian. The microphone's not working. Can you tell me a bit about a thing I hadn't heard of before I looked you up, to be honest? But maybe it's famous. It's in America. The Upright Citizens Brigade Theatre.
Yes, that's where I perform a lot there.
Can you tell us a bit about it?
Oh yeah, so Upright Citizens Brigade is a theater and improv sketch theater in Los Angeles and New York City, and Amy Poehler, Matt Besser, Ian Roberts, and did I say Matt Walsh already?
No, you said 3 names and then that one.
Yeah, Matt Walsh. Okay, so the 4 of them, they had a comedy group called the Upright Citizens Brigade. And since, you know, and they made that group like in their 20s, early 30s or whatever. Then they got a show on Comedy Central called the Upright Citizens Brigade. And then they all got famous doing like other stuff like Veep and Saturday Night Live. And then they started this like black box underground theater in New York. And yeah, because they were doing improv in Chicago with Del Close, and there wasn't anything quite like it in New York. So they brought their own style of improv to New York, and then once it blew up there, to LA. And so, yeah, it's kind of like a comedy breeding ground, the Upright Citizens Brigade. It's really competitive. They have a school where you go up through Improv 101, 201, 301, 401. I think now they have an academy or something like that. I didn't do that. I don't know. That's new. And then so you audition, you get on a team, and you just have fun and meet people. And well, I didn't really answer a question, did I?
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, so it's kind of a school, and then like, yeah, performer, comedian, breeding ground, and you get to like write your own stuff. And their Herald teams, which are their improv teams, and their mod teams, which are their sketch teams, are really competitive to get on. So it's like if you get on a team, whoo, CAA is going to be coming to your show. CAA, which is a really cool agency in LA.
Yeah, I think we don't really have that at all here.
Really?
Am I right?
What do you guys have?
We don't have a lot of
like troops.
No.
What?
You must have known this. You didn't know this?
No,
Maybe
I
I'm
had
wrong.
no idea.
From my experience,
You have no troops?
Not really.
Not since like the mystery plays, from like way back when, like all the King's Men, all that shit.
Huh.
I don't know what that is.
Oh.
But what about like you guys have like sketch groups and stuff like that, like
But they're quite limited. So it'll be maybe like 3 people. They do a sketch group, and then when they stop doing it, it finishes.
It doesn't
carry
continue.
on
It's
under
not
another
like a
name.
house team. Yeah, so this is like a comedy theater that has house teams, and once if somebody quits a house team, they fill it with somebody else who they liked their audition, you know.
Yeah, I really like that, and we don't have that at all. Maybe we could start it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is cool, but it also creates this like competitive. Where are you going?
Where are you going?
He's got to go. All right,
Apparently.
we lost one, guys.
Okay.
But it creates a competitive kind of. It just creates a competitive atmosphere.
Do you prefer?
But everyone's really supportive.
Do you prefer working in a troupe with a group, or are you happier now that you're working by yourself?
Oh, I like what I'm doing now better because I have a little bit more freedom. You know, the more people you work with, the less
Yeah.
freedom I feel. Yeah.
Ian, should we have your third one? Is the mic working?
I'll pass it. Oh, Natalie can do it.
Thank you. So, what do you enjoy least about the Edinburgh Fringe Festival?
Oh, we're really going under it now.
I guess it rains a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I don't know. It's kind of fun. I mean, it's just a bunch of like theater and stuff. I don't really think there's anything not to like.
I think with the weather, it's not just that it rains a lot. It's that sometimes it's like blistering sun, and sometimes it's fucking miserable. So you can't pack for anything.
Yeah,
you
you
pack
don't
for
know.
everything.
Yeah, sometimes I'm drenched, you know, walking around,
From
and
the
then
rain.
sometimes I'm thinking I need to wear a sweater, and then I
hat.
get really hot in a hat. Is it warm out right now? I'm like the only one kind of dressed for cold weather.
I'm
in this
absolutely
room.
boiling.
Oh, are
Yeah.
you? I just got diagnosed as anemic, which means I get it more easily cold. Because
Ah.
I have low iron in my blood. So I gotta eat steak.
That's how it's
Yeah.
dealt with. You've got to eat steak.
What?
That's how it's dealt with. You've got to eat steak.
Yeah, I gotta eat steak.
Brilliant.
And just some
not a
iron
bad
supplements, yeah.
That's not a condition at all.
At the moment, I don't feel that sorry for you.
Yeah.
You
Got
don't?
to eat steaks.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
It can be bad. So.
Oh, it's working again.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. Lovely.
Shut up, Ian.
I was defending you.
Biggest laugh of the night.
The people really resonated with "Shut Up, Ian."
Finally, they're on our
Jealous.
level.
He knows I love him.
He's like the baddie.
Yeah.
Great. I wanted to ask you a little bit about you do a podcast as well.
Yeah, I did a podcast in Los Angeles with my friend Carrie Poppy. It's called Hidden Mickeys, and it is about the weird underbelly side of Disney things. Yeah.
Oh, that was a little noise.
Give it a listen if you like Disney stuff. It's not appropriate for children, even though it is about. She doesn't care, I guess. She's heard it all. I guess by now, yes.
Can you give us an example of a weird underbelly thing from Disney?
Well, okay, so there is there's a rumor that there are ley lines at the center of the carousel in the middle of Disneyland where you can travel time.
Right.
So the ley
Probably true.
lines are like some sort of like supernatural kind of energy sources, and they all join together at the center of the carousel, causing a portal where people can travel time. And that is a true belief that some people hold about Disneyland.
Right.
Does it happen? Have you been?
I think so. I think I've seen a couple of people from the 20s walking around with, playing dice or whatever.
That's
In
not,
Disneyland.
In Disneyland. But yeah, they might just be performers. I don't know.
that's not what you'd assume immediately if a child went missing in Disneyland. You wouldn't assume that.
Well, no, yeah, you would. Well, yeah, but I guess that could happen. They could just.
And there's like a confused old man next to him. Where am I?
Yeah, seriously, he's just like travel time, switch places with that little kid. But in Disneyland, it's really hard to kidnap a kid. Although nothing's impossible. But
How do you know that?
Sorry? Otherwise? Like, actually, how do I know? I mean, I just, I have this podcast. So. but so if a child gets taken in Disneyland, they immediately shut every entrance. Like, you cannot leave. Nobody's getting out. Nobody's coming or going. And they just do a complete and total lockdown until the kid is found.
Wow.
But it's it's freaking crazy how they kidnap kids. I mean, they like. I mean, do you guys know about this? They like
No.
take him
Specifically in Disneyland or just generally?
in general.
I don't know. No.
Well, they scoop them into the bathroom and like put a wig on them and change their outfits so they're like not identifiable. Yeah,
What sort
pretty
of wig?
fucked up.
Sort of wig.
Pardon me?
What sort of wig? Like a so their hair is different.
Yeah, so their hair is
I'm not
different.
making a joke.
Yeah.
I'm asking.
Oh yeah.
No, I don't.
Wig.
I don't know, maybe like an Ariel wig. Or...
Yeah. So they think it's a toy.
Oh, so the kid thinks it's a toy?
Maybe.
No, I think the kid thinks I'm fucked and
right.
I just got kidnapped.
Yeah.
I don't think they're thinking like, oh, cool. Wig. Yeah.
Wigs used to be funny,
I
and now
know.
you've made them horrible.
Nice pink shirt.
I think one thing I like about the podcast, because I listen to a few, is that you and Carrie are quite different. I think.
Oh, yeah.
And
She's
like
really smart.
that wasn't what I was getting at. And but also vocally quite different. So it's quite a nice thing to listen to.
What would you say the difference? Now I'm asking you a question. What are
That's all
the
right.
difference in vocal qualities, you think?
Well, she's sort of quite, I suppose, bright and so and you're sort of going like that. No, sorry, not like that. But sorry, no, sorry, not like that.
No, do
but,
me
but,
again, do me
no,
again.
No, sorry.
I know, I
But
like it, I like
lower-
it, I like it.
Like what, George?
No, sort of like.
No, sorry, like what?
No, I was doing it and you interrupted me. So, no, it's going to sound rude now.
No, I like it. I actually like hearing it.
Okay,
People
well, it's
do.
kind of like that, I think.
It's a little bit laid back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
That could have been either of us.
Can you do me?
What? I don't. What? Did you just went?
Don't fluster. Go on. Straight on it, Adam. It's a podcast.
I don't know if I can. You've got a very unique voice. A very unique voice.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet.
We've had podcasts here where I think people probably were confused because we've sounded the same as the guests.
Yeah.
That's not going to
Really?
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, might not happen this episode.
I think they'll know.
But I think you guys have distinctive voices as well. I'm
Thank you.
surprised to hear people confuse you. Maybe they're people
She
with
would-
not good hearing, or
Yes.
yeah. How about what do you think, Ian? I don't care.
I think his mic stopped working. And his mic stopped working again.
I'm sorry, Ian. Oh my gosh, so sweet.
Do you think what you do is clever?
Do I think what I do is clever?
Mm.
I mean, sometimes, yeah, I do. Just like right now, I'm, making all these slights at Ian. I'm
Mhm.
thinking, this is great.
I more mean like your shows, your theatre shows. Do you think they're like?
Oh, how do you mean clever?
Well, because
Like, what
I
does that
saw
mean
someone
here?
describe it as clever, and
Oh,
I
really?
wondered what you thought about it.
Well, in my head, clever, like whenever I think clever, I get an image of like kind of an annoying
Mhm.
person that like thinks they're really smart and funny and creative. And so I guess that's me.
No, what I think it's not you.
Yeah.
I think it's completely not what it is.
Oh, nice. I mean, I really enjoy what I do, and I like what I make.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would. I feel like clever is tainted in
Mhm.
the United States, and you think of like an annoying
I
person.
think it is here too.
Oh,
I
it
think you
is,
think of a
okay.
sort of wordy comedian who uses lots of big
Yeah.
words. And the joke is
Oh.
that they're clever and they know like long words.
I think of like a troupe from Oxford making jokes about the Great Gatsby.
Really?
God,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. That's what I think too. And I think I would say no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I said.
I'd
no.
say what we do definitely isn't clever.
No, I'm really stupid.
Yeah, you are. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
but I like stupid. I think that's the best thing to be.
Thank
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, stupidity is more like what I'm going for.
I just think that there's like sometimes you could come up with a really clever like satirical piece of comedy, but a kick in the face would have been funnier.
Yeah.
Or like a pie or something.
Exactly. Or sucking your own dick.
Yes. I wouldn't have known that was funny until I saw your show.
Really?
Yeah, I would have thought it was a bit gross. Well, it is gross, but
Is
also
it?
funny. Yes.
Show of hands. Who wishes they could do that? Really?
Hands
Yes,
straight
thank
up
you.
in the audience
Somebody's
there.
honest.
In
I
the
know
front
so
row.
many guys that are like, I wish I could suck my own dick. Like,
I don't want to do that.
I know
I
so
think-
many guys that
I-
wish
I
that wish
think-
that.
I
mean,
think
why,
the
why
idea-
wouldn't you? Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the idea might be better than the actual. I think the idea might be better than the actual practice of doing it. I just feel like if I got down there, I'd be disappointed.
Nah. I
This
don't
is
believe
gross.
that. Oh my
Right,
gosh!
I'm
I
done with
hope
this.
that got picked up.
I think just about. All right, this has gone mental.
It's
right.
giving the podcast character.
Oh yes, that's
Yes,
right. It
all
is
the
doing that.
Chiming in.
Do you know what? Let's bring it over to you guys if you clearly want to talk so much. Right, we're 42 minutes in. It seems like a good time to audience questions. Right, we're going to do this properly. Hands up if you have a question. Right, okay, we have one person at the front. So I think Ian's mic is broke. Yeah, I don't trust it. Do you want to take this one, Adam?
Okay, it's on again.
What's your name?
You touched on having a theme for your shows. Looking forward, what do you think will be the next theme that you'll touch on?
Well, I don't think of a theme before I start making a show, so it shows itself as I am making it. Even with Laid, I knew what the structure was going to be. I didn't set out to send a message about motherhood or fertility. So those are all things that come to fruition through workshopping and through feedback from the audience.
Do we have any more questions?
Can I just say that question was asked by someone who looks a lot younger than they sound. Any other questions? Yes, in the front row. Adam?
Sebastian.
I have a question linked to that question.
Brilliant.
How do you get your feedback?
Oh, I just ask people. So after every show that I do, I mentioned that I invite audiences to come. I just say, hey guys, this is a work in progress. If anybody has anything they like or didn't like, please let me know. And then I say, negative feedback's most helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because in theory, you know what you think's funny.
Yeah.
You've done everything to try and be funny.
Yeah, and you can hear what works too. They don't really need to tell you that, I laughed there, because you could just hear them laughing.
That's really true. And sometimes you don't know, because often you know why they're laughing, but sometimes you don't know why they're not laughing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I've found it's not even something you're doing. Like sometimes we can do a show where no one laughs, and it's not necessarily because of us. It's because there's something annoying, like the room's too hot, or there's a big fan that's making too much noise, or the text's too quiet.
Yeah.
And you just don't know. And then someone writes down the text a bit too quiet, and you go, oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's brilliant. Did that answer your question? Good. I answered it a bit. Brilliant. Any other questions? Oh yes.
If you've written something like Laid, it's all set out. Who do you practice in front of? Do you do it in front of your mum, friends? Do you take their criticism, or do you ignore it?
If I had written it?
If you've written it, if you've written something, how do you get feedback on it immediately before it's seen?
It's always just seen. I just always put up in front of an audience, or I'll run it past Dr. Brown and be like, I have this idea, but I never perform it for him. I'm just like, I'm gonna do this, and I have it outlined, beat it out, and then.
So are there points where you go, I'm not doing? Should I do that? There's never a point where you go before you get to the audience where you go, is that okay to even do that?
I mean, yeah. Sometimes I think about that. Like when I was thinking about doing, there's a sex scene that I do with a mannequin in the park, and so yeah, I was definitely thinking ooh. How's this gonna go? But the first time I did it was totally improvised, so it's well, I don't know how it's gonna go. I hope my brain helps me out of this. But my mom, I would never ask my mom to give me feedback because she does not like anything that I do, and I think this show in particular would give her a heart attack.
So is it sometimes is it more often than not that you don't do something because of taste as opposed to because of because of it's funny, you think it's funny or not? Do you know what I mean? You limit yourself because of will or won't like. Do you know what I mean?
Oh no, I'll still do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with sensitivity, I'm not just gonna throw a scene that's gonna like horribly trigger everyone in the audience on stage, without I mean, I don't know. Maybe when I'm workshopping, that could have happened. I don't know. But I when I was in LA, I put a trigger warning on the door.
Okay.
So they know that I was playing with that material. So I just warned them, like, I'm playing around with this stuff, and it might be bad.
I don't know a ton about trigger warnings. What sort of thing?
So trigger warning is something, I guess it's used in the States a lot. And so you warn people that are about to watch something that they might be triggered if they have had an experience, like if they have PTSD from an experience. So like if your show deals with rape, you would say trigger warning, rape.
Oh, and then the content.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
okay. So
content.
it's not just a sort of blanket thing. You could get offended by it. It's very specific. You could get offended by this thing.
Yeah, there was one part of my show that when I was workshopping it that dealt with homophobia. So I put trigger warning, homophobia. This show may deal with themes relating to homophobia, you know. You just put it on the door. And so they know what they're getting into. That way you don't have somebody like, you know, having a panic attack.
Maybe we
in
should
your
do that.
Audience.
We'll do a little bit.
For World War II,
Yeah.
trigger warning, World War II. I think
You sort of
you're
assume.
safe.
One would sort of assume.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the audience? Oh, yes. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
So you mentioned that shows in drag. Is that something that you potentially wanted to do beforehand, or was it something that just kind of came naturally from this show progress?
The character that I do is in drag because he's a dude. But I'd say it's more character work than, I mean, it's just what people happen to call it when you play the opposite gender as drag. But I've been doing this character since I was in university. So, did I answer your question?
No, it's just like if there was like any, like if you had kind of a thought at some point, like in your kind of performance, like, oh, I want to do drag at some point. I want to do like.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
okay.
would you count it as a drag show? Or more as like a character comedy thing?
I mean, I wouldn't think of it as a drag show. Whenever I think of drag shows, I think of kind of like a pop concert, and there's a lot of like lip syncing and stuff like that. Not that that's all that drag is, but so this character came to be because I was doing a workshop with a theater company in Philadelphia where we were playing with drag and doing different characters in drag. So when I was doing that workshop, I had like a bunch of different male characters that I was doing, and that's how I discovered this character. And the first piece I ever did with him, he was just watching TV, chugging a 2-liter bottle of soda in silence, you know. So, yeah, that didn't make the show, unfortunately.
That is a shame. Right, I believe we are now getting near. Oh no, there's another question. Go on. Can you come here, please? Take the mic.
Related to that question, do you base your comedy off of experiences that you've had, or completely just made up?
That's a brilliant
That's
question.
curious. I mean, I would say it's a combination. You know, I like to use my imagination, but I think as artists, you know, you can't help but draw from your own experiences, and that's what helps create your perspective.
And a good answer as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Right, cool. Right, I think now we have one last question to ask, I think. before we wrap
Okay.
it up. So here at Willis and Vere, we like to help dreams come true. Is there anything that we can do for you?
You've made us sound like the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Fine.
Anything you can do for me?
Yeah.
We'd like to make
anything
your
at
dreams
all?
come true.
Well, let's keep it PG. Yeah.
PG? Crap. I mean, I was going to ask you to make me a big chocolate wiener.
Describe exactly how you'd like us to make you a big. Do you mean that like a
cake?
Like,
are
I
you talking about
think-
a hot dog?
No. A wiener.
Oh.
For my
you
show.
want us to make you a chocolate wiener?
Yeah, chocolate penis. Yeah.
Would you, we can probably try and do that.
I don't want to make this. This is not a. I don't want this to be a dirty question. How large do you need the chocolate penis to be made?
I mean, I would like it sizable. Enough
Oh.
for that I could share with my friends. 5 friends.
Oh, all right. Okay.
A dessert.
5 friends.
Yeah, and I would like it by the end of the festival as a celebration for coming to Edinburgh. And I'd like to share it with you guys.
I think we can actually do that.
We're going to try and make a giant chocolate penis for you.
So I'll be more specific. Adam's going to do that because I've got a lot of stuff to do.
Okay. Thank you, Adam.
I've been making a lot of props and set for the show.
Oh, you have?
And they've sort of worked.
Okay, nice. I'm
So-
also happy if it's a big chocolate penis cake. I don't know if that's easier.
It might be.
I'm going to experiment with some things.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come back to you.
Please do. Thank you so much, Adam.
Do you have a date that you want this by? A specific...
Just but I want it on the last day of the festival.
Okay.
Yeah. As celebration. I think we can all have a piece of it.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
And share it together. That'd be fun.
That sounds great. What a lovely way to end the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Natalie Palamides.
Thank you. Thanks, guys, for having me. Oh my gosh. So at the beginning of the festival, I wished for a big chocolate cock, and the boys made it for me. I can't believe it. I'm so excited to dig in.
Yeah.
Wow. This
Great.
is amazing chocolate cock cake.
So that was the audio from us giving Natalie the giant chocolate cock she requested.
Mad thing that happened.
Yeah, I made it.
Yeah,
it
this
took me
boring
a few hours.
story. Yeah, you made it fine.
Yeah.
Now listen, if you want to see Natalie Palamides live at the Fringe, you only have one more chance, and we're not exactly sure when it is, but it's 12:15 a.m. Now, listen to this. I think it's this evening / tomorrow morning, 12:15 a.m. In which case, right, assuming you're listening to this on a Wednesday, it's like tonight. So if you want to go and see it like tonight or perhaps tomorrow morning or perhaps the next night, I'm not sure. Look on the Ed Fringe website, Natalie Palamides Nate. It's really, really fun. If you get into it, obviously a bit in the show. It's a hilarious show. I'm sure it's got better and better. All the other shows are sold out.
And if you want to find out just what she's doing, what she's up to.
What's that noise?
Fuck was that?
A door creaking.
Right,
Why are
shut
you playing that on the app?
Because it sounds
Shut
fun.
up.
Oh, yeah.
Shut up. If you want to find out what she's up to,
Adam looks like a frog.
then you could go on Facebook and find at Natalie Comedy, or you could go on Twitter and find her at NatDogCatDog. At NatDogCatDog. This is juvenile now.
All right, yep. So follow her, find out what she's got going on.
Jesus.
She's really funny. She'll probably be up this year, win another thing. Yeah, and if you please come and see our shows in the last week. And in 2 weeks' time, we have Brennan Reese, which will be really funny. Thank you very much for listening again.
Yeah, have a good one, yeah.